Amish homes in Lancaster County have some of the lowest rates of asthma, chronic respiratory illness, and allergic disease of any population group studied in the United States. Researchers have published studies specifically examining why. The answer is not genetics, and it is not diet. It is 6 specific characteristics of how the home is built and maintained. All 6 are things the average American home added after 1950. Before anything else, the honest statement of this kind of video usually skips. The 6 things on this list are associated with health problems in research literature. Associated means studied and documented. It does not mean every house with these features makes every person in it sick, and it does not mean removing them will cure a specific illness. What the research shows is measurable, consistent differences in respiratory health, sleep quality, and allergy rates between populations exposed to these things and populations not exposed. The Amish population has provided some of the most compelling natural experiments in this area because their living conditions differ from the surrounding population in documented ways, and their health outcomes differ correspondingly. That is what this is based on. Here is the first thing: synthetic fragrance in cleaning and personal care products. The average American home uses between 3 and 10 products daily that contain synthetic fragrance compounds, including laundry detergent, fabric softener, air fresheners, candles, cleaning sprays, shampoo, soap, and dish liquid. The fragrance industry is permitted to list all fragrance compounds under the single word fragrance on a label without disclosing the individual chemicals. Independent laboratory analysis of common household fragrance products has consistently found dozens to hundreds of individual volatile organic compounds in these products, including compounds classified as carcinogens, respiratory irritants, and endocrine disruptors under California's Proposition 65 and EPA classifications. Amish households do not use synthetic fragrance products. Not because of a health directive, because the Amish tradition of plain living specifically rejects unnecessary commercial products, and fragrance products are unnecessary by definition. Amish laundry is washed with soap and borax. Floors are cleaned with vinegar and water. The air in an Amish home smells like wood smoke and bread and vinegar, because those are the things that actually happen in it, not because something was sprayed to create the impression that they do. The research connection is documented. A study published in the journal Environmental Health Perspectives found that common fragrance products are among the most significant sources of indoor volatile organic compounds in American homes. The American Lung Association classifies air fresheners as a source of indoor air pollutants and recommends avoiding them. For households where a member has asthma or respiratory sensitivities, the connection between synthetic fragrance products and symptom onset is well established in clinical literature. Removing synthetic fragrance from a home does not require replacing it with anything. Amish homes have demonstrated that a clean home does not need to smell like anything at all. Here's the second thing: sealed windows and mechanical air circulation without fresh air exchange. The modern American home is built to be airtight. Energy codes introduced through the 1970s and tightened through subsequent decades required increasingly sealed building envelopes to reduce heating and cooling costs. The result is homes where the indoor air is recirculated repeatedly through the HVAC system rather than exchanged with outdoor air. The EPA has documented that indoor air in the average American home is between 2 and 5 times more polluted than outdoor air in the same location, specifically because the sealed building concentrates the off-gassing from building materials, cleaning products, synthetic fabrics, and personal care products while preventing that concentration from dissipating. Amish homes are not airtight. Traditional Amish construction uses double-hung windows on opposite walls of every main room, a design principle called cross-ventilation that allows outdoor air to move through the living space continuously when weather permits. The ventilation is passive, requires no equipment, and costs nothing to operate. The same design principle that cools the house in summer without mechanical cooling also continuously dilutes and replaces the indoor air with outdoor air, preventing the concentration of indoor pollutants that the EPA has documented in modern sealed homes. The honest limitation is stated here because the old ways restored format requires it. Cross-ventilation does not work in every climate. In humid climates where outdoor air is loaded with moisture, opening windows can introduce more problems than it solves in the form of mold and condensation on interior surfaces. In climates with poor outdoor air quality from wildfire smoke or industrial pollution, outdoor air is not always the better option. The Amish ventilation advantage is most significant in the temperate climates of Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, and similar regions where outdoor air quality is generally high and humidity is manageable. But in most American homes, in most American climates, the indoor air is measurably worse than the outdoor air, and the sealed modern building is the reason. Here's the third thing: synthetic flooring materials that off-gas continuously. The vinyl plank flooring, the laminate flooring, the wall-to-wall synthetic carpet that covers most American homes off-gas volatile organic compounds for months to years after installation. Formaldehyde is the compound most often studied and documented, Because it is a known human carcinogen classified by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, it is present in the adhesives and resins used in most manufactured flooring products, and it is released continuously into indoor air at levels measurable by standard air quality testing in newly installed flooring environments. A California study of indoor formaldehyde levels found that laminate flooring from major manufacturers produced indoor concentrations above the WHO guideline for chronic exposure in standard residential testing conditions. Amish homes have wood plank floors, stone floors, or linoleum made from natural materials. They do not have wall-to-wall synthetic carpet. They do not have vinyl plank flooring installed with formaldehyde-containing adhesives. The floors in an Amish home are either bare natural material or covered with rag rugs that were woven from repurposed fabric and can be taken outside and beaten. The cleaning method for an Amish floor is a mop and vinegar water, which leaves no residue and introduces no additional compounds. The floor is a surface, not a source of indoor air pollution. The honest note: formaldehyde off-gassing from flooring is most significant in the months immediately after installation. Older installed flooring has largely finished its acute off-gassing phase, though low-level release continues for years. The health concern is most acute for households installing new flooring, households with members who have respiratory sensitivities, and households that have installed flooring in rooms that are poorly ventilated. Choosing solid wood, stone, tile, or natural linoleum when replacing flooring, or ensuring maximum ventilation during and after installation of synthetic flooring addresses the majority of the documented risk. Here's the fourth thing: artificial light at night that disrupts sleep architecture. Amish homes go dark at night. Candles and lanterns produce light in the amber wavelength range. Amber light contains almost no blue spectrum wavelengths. Blue spectrum light is the specific wavelength range that suppresses melatonin production in humans. Melatonin is the hormone that regulates the sleep-wake cycle, and its suppression by blue light exposure in the evening is one of the most consistently documented findings in sleep research of the past 2 decades. The National Sleep Foundation and the American Academy of Sleep Medicine have both published guidance stating that exposure to blue spectrum light in the 2 to 3 hours before sleep measurably delays sleep onset, reduces total sleep duration, and suppresses the deep slow-wave sleep stages associated with immune function and cellular repair. The average American home in the evening is flooded with blue spectrum light from LED overhead fixtures, television screens, computer monitors, tablet devices, and smartphones. The Amish home in the evening is lit by candle or lantern, which produces no meaningful blue spectrum light. The result is that melatonin production in Amish households follows the natural cycle aligned with sunset, producing earlier and deeper sleep than the equivalent population in electrically lit homes. This is one of the 6 items where the connection is not contentious. The mechanism is documented, the research is consistent across multiple independent studies and institutional bodies, and the intervention is simple: amber spectrum bulbs for evening use, screen filters on devices used after sunset, and reducing overhead lighting in favor of warm lower lighting in the hours before sleep replicate the Amish light environment without requiring candles. The documented health outcome of deeper and longer sleep cascades into measurable effects on immune function, cardiovascular health, mental health, and metabolic regulation, all of which have established connections to chronic sleep disruption in the research literature. The Amish population sleeps an average of 1 to 2 hours more per night than the surrounding population, according to observational data collected in the University of Chicago studies on Amish health. That sleep difference is not attributed to lifestyle discipline or religious practice. It is attributed to the absence of artificial blue spectrum light in the evening environment. The light is the signal the body uses to determine what time it is. Remove the blue spectrum evening light and the body's clock follows the sun the way it was calibrated to do. Keep the blue spectrum evening light and the body's clock cannot read the sun through the noise. Here's the 5th thing: pesticide residues in the home environment from lawn and garden chemical applications. The typical American residential property is treated with herbicides, insecticides, and fungicides multiple times per growing season. These compounds are tracked into the home on shoes and pet paws, they drift in through windows and ventilation systems, and they persist on carpeting and hard surfaces for extended periods after application. A study by the National Cancer Institute found that children in households that used home pesticide products had elevated rates of certain childhood cancers, and the EPA has documented that pesticide residues in indoor environments frequently exceed outdoor concentrations because the compounds break down more slowly indoors in the absence of UV exposure. Amish households do not use synthetic pesticides on their properties. Pest control uses the methods covered extensively on this channel: diatomaceous earth, borax barriers, companion planting, physical exclusion, and beneficial insect management. Lawn maintenance does not involve herbicide application because Amish properties do not maintain chemically maintained monoculture lawns. The ground around an Amish farmhouse is either kitchen garden, pasture, or closely cut grass maintained by a reel mower or grazing animals. No herbicide-treated monoculture lawn means no herbicide residue tracked into the house on shoes. The practical intervention for a modern household does not require eliminating all pest management. It requires adopting a shoes-off policy at the door, which alone eliminates a documented fraction of the pesticide and herbicide residue entering the home from outdoor applications on the surrounding property and neighborhood. An Amish home that does not use lawn chemicals still benefits from the shoes-off habit because the surrounding community's properties may be treated. The shoe stays outside. The compounds on the shoe stay outside. Here's the sixth thing. Mold from building assemblies that trap moisture. Modern building construction creates moisture traps that traditional construction did not. Drywall backed by insulation in an exterior wall assembly creates a cavity where moisture that enters through any gap condenses on the cold interior surface of the exterior sheathing and cannot evaporate. Mold grows in that cavity invisibly, releasing spores into the indoor air through electrical outlet penetrations and gaps around fixtures, where it produces allergenic and in some species mycotoxin compounds that have documented connections to respiratory illness, neurological symptoms, and chronic fatigue. A CDC-funded study found that up to 50% of American homes have conditions that support mold growth. The EPA identifies mold as one of the most significant sources of indoor air quality problems in the United States. Traditional Amish construction uses masonry or solid wood exterior walls with no interior cavity for moisture accumulation. Stone farmhouses breathe through the material itself. Timber frame construction with solid wood sheathing allows moisture to move through the wall assembly rather than condensing in a trapped cavity. Neither construction type creates the sealed moisture pocket that modern drywall and batt insulation assembly produces. The Amish home, that is 100 years old, does not have mold growing inside its walls because the wall assembly it was built with does not create the conditions for it. The honest limitation: modern construction is the standard in most American homes, and replacing wall assemblies is not a practical intervention for most households. The practical prevention is moisture management. A bathroom exhaust fan used during and after every shower, a kitchen exhaust fan used during cooking, a dehumidifier in basement spaces that stay below 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and prompt repair of any water intrusion from leaks or condensation. The Amish house avoids mold through its construction. The modern house avoids mold through active moisture management. The outcome can be similar if the management is consistent. The one moisture source that most households underestimate is the bathroom. A single hot shower in a modern bathroom without exhaust ventilation introduces approximately a pint of water vapor into the air of that room. In a sealed modern home, that water vapor has limited routes of escape, and a significant fraction of it condenses on the coldest surfaces available, which are typically the walls behind the drywall in an exterior corner. This happens invisibly, daily, for years, and it is the mechanism behind a large fraction of the mold growth that the CDC study found in half of American homes. Running the bathroom exhaust fan for 20 minutes after every shower is the single most impactful moisture management habit available in a modern home. Here's what all 6 things have in common. They are all features of the modern home that did not exist before approximately 1950. The synthetic fragrance industry, the sealed airtight building envelope, the manufactured synthetic flooring, the blue spectrum electric light environment, the residential pesticide culture, and the drywall and batt wall assembly are all products of the post-war American building and consumer goods industry. The Amish home, which stopped adopting new consumer and construction practices at approximately that same moment, does not have any of them. The research comparing Amish health outcomes to surrounding populations is comparing a pre-1950 domestic environment to a post-1951, and the differences in respiratory health, allergy rates, and immune function that show up in that research are the measure of what those 6 things cost. Not every household can remove all 6. Some are structural, some are habitual, some require significant investment to change. But the easiest one on this list costs nothing and can start today. Remove the synthetic fragrance products from your home. Every air freshener, every scented candle, every laundry detergent with fragrance, every fabric softener, every cleaning spray with a scent. Replace them with nothing. The Amish home does not smell like anything manufactured because nothing manufactured is sprayed into it. A home that smells like nothing at all is a home whose air contains what the outdoor air contains, minus what the building materials release, minus what the synthetic fragrances add. That is a different air than the one in most American homes, and it is measurably cleaner. Subscribe because the next video covers the 6 things Amish homes have been doing for 200 years that the research now says are protecting them, the positive side of this picture, and the one that is more immediately actionable than removing what is already there. Tell me in the comments which of these 6 is in your home right now, and which one you had not connected to a health impact before today, because the answers tell me exactly which of these needs a full, dedicated video next.